In this video, we're going to show you how to replace your radiator located right behind your grill. I want to go ahead and remove our cap here off of our expansion tank. I'm going to pop that off and set that aside. Now on the bottom side here, right on the base of our wheel well area on the passenger side, there's going to be some plastic buttons here holding our lower splash guard to the fender liner. We're going to use our trim tool. We're just going to go up in here and we're just going to pop off the little buttons that are in here holding these together. Ours don't all match, so it looks like someone was already in here playing with these before. We're actually missing a button over here, and we have a zip tie there or some sort of anchoring strap. We're going to go ahead and pop that off, remove that, and let's go ahead and do the same for the driver's side. Okay, pop these buttons out here. On the front cross member, we have two 10mm bolts. Across the lower front portion of the bumper, there's a series of 7mm screws. Let's get to loosen and remove these. The little retaining clips on the back side here have come loose, so we need to grab that with a pair of pliers. I'll go ahead and remove those there. Now we got the screws removed. Gotta lower this down. On the lower right-hand corner of our radiator, we have the drain plug or petcock right here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this. We're gonna turn it counterclockwise. Ours is stuck a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and grab a pair of pliers. Turn that. Now we have our catch can underneath to go ahead and catch our coolant as it comes out. Now our drain hose is not working as it should. So we're just going to adjust our catch can here. And just pull that plug right out. Now that our radiator is drained out, go ahead and install your drain plug. Now if you're able to loosen your drain plug and it drained out through the hose here, perfect. If you had to unscrew it and remove it completely, go ahead and just thread that back in, and we're just going to hand tighten that back in a place like that. Just give this a quick wipe down. And we'll go ahead and remove our drain pan. Grab your upper engine cover here. We're going to pop that up, remove that, set it aside. Just disconnect our harness right here. There's a little red lock tab. I'm going to press that out. Pinch this tab, disconnect that like so. We're going to use our screwdriver here, loosen up this clamp for the air intake tube. Okay, just give that a little wiggle woggle there and go ahead and pop that off. Let's go ahead and move this hose clamp off of our upper radiator. Slide that back. Now that we have our hose clamp pulled back, I'm going to go ahead and grab the hose clamp, break this free off of the thermostat neck here. Go ahead, grab that hose and work that off. With this disconnected, let's go ahead and do the same with the hose clamp to our radiator and remove this upper radiator hose. Now we have a pair of pliers on our other hose clamp. Let's go ahead and open that up and try and work that hose off. Good, set that hose aside. I want to go ahead and disconnect our wiring harness from our cooling fan motors. So you go ahead and pop this connector off of this little retainer clip. I'm going to press on this back clip up top and separate the harness. Let's go ahead and do the same for the other motor. This motor itself has a little clip on it. We're just going to lift up on it and grab that harness and separate that. Ours is stuck a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and use a pocket screwdriver to get underneath that little tab. Lift that up, and then we'll separate that harness like so, and just unwrap that off of the cooling fans itself. Set that harness aside. On the upper portion of our cooling fans, there's a 10mm bolt right here. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove that. On the passenger side, you're going to find another 10mm bolt right here, right underneath our upper radiator hose water neck. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove that bolt. Now, in front of our motor on that cross member right here, there is a power steering hose with a clamp right here. We're going to use our 10mm socket and extension with our ratchet. We're going to loosen and remove this bolt. And that is just going to allow us to go ahead and move that power steering hose out of the way. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to lift up the cooling fan, and we're going to use a pry bar here just to try and move that power steering hose out of the way. I'm going to try and lower our cooling fan. And what we're just doing is gently working this back and forth. Let's go ahead and push up on our radiator drain hose here. We're going to pop that out and get that released. Let's go ahead and disconnect our lower radiator hose. We're going to use our tool here to get onto that hose clamp. Now we have our hose clamp loose. Let's go ahead and work that lower radiator hose off. You want to have a catch can underneath just in case you have any residual coolant left in here. Now in the center of these buttons right here, I want to go ahead and push in the center. And do this to the 3 plastic buttons holding these in place. I'm going to switch over to our trim tool. I'm going to get inside here and go ahead and pop these buttons out. Let's go ahead and release all 3 of these, and we'll go ahead and repeat the process for the other side. Now you want to go ahead and peel back your fender liner, and right up inside here there's going to be a single 10mm bolt. Let's go ahead, loosen, and remove that. Go ahead and repeat for the passenger side. On the bottom side here, I want to go ahead and disconnect your fog lights. I'm going to turn these counterclockwise, pop out that light. And up top, up inside, there is your marker light. I want to go ahead and disconnect that harness up top. Now right here on the back side of our bumper edge here, there's going to be a second bolt that we want to get to. It's also a 10mm, so we're going to go ahead and use a long extension, put our socket on there. I'm going to go ahead and remove this bolt. Once this is out, we're going to repeat for the passenger side. All right, so now we have this bolt loose. We'll go ahead and remove this. Let's go ahead and pop out our little filler panels right here. Do this for both driver and passenger side. You guys set those aside. Across the top of your grill, you're going to have 4 of these plastic push pins. You want to go ahead and use your trim tool. Go ahead and remove those. repeat for the other 3. On the front side right here, there's going to be 2 10mm bolts, one on the passenger side here. And then we'll get the driver's side here. Now on the passenger side here, we have this little plastic tray right here. We're going to use our trim tool, pop out this little plastic button. Pop that out. That's going to allow this unit to move around a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the driver's side. With this plastic tray loose, we can go ahead and grab this radiator support bracket. Get pop that out. Do the same for the passenger side. At this point here, now that we have all of our pieces of hardware removed securing the bumper, let's go ahead and grab the driver's side lower edge here, and we're going to just grab this bumper and pull forward like so. I'm going to work our way across the top here. Do the same on the passenger side now. Pull it straight forward. And we'll go ahead and grab the upper portion with the grill and just wiggle this off. And set that down. Now on the passenger side, right below the headlamp and behind the impact beam here, there's a connector here. And this connector goes to all of the wires and the harness that goes to all of your bumper lights. What we want to do is disconnect this harness so we can go ahead and continue to separate the bumper from the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and use a pocket screwdriver, and you want to go ahead and just pry this a little bit here, disconnect that harness. Now we have that harness disconnected, we can remove the entire bumper. We're going to go ahead and use our plastic trim tool to go ahead and separate this air diverter right here. This is on the driver's side lower portion. We want to pop out the pin on this. Once this pops out, we're going to go ahead and do the same on the passenger side. It is now loose. Now I want to go ahead and unbolt our AC condenser from our radiator. There's 4 bolts. There's 2 on the driver's side here, 1 here, and there's 1 down below. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove those. All right, get those 2 out. Go ahead and reach down, pull our radiator forward, tilt it towards the engine here. You're just going to look around for any hoses or wiring harnesses that might cause some interference. Once we get this moved over, we should be able to wiggle this up and out. You want to just manipulate your cooler lines and things out of the way. Go ahead and remove that from the vehicle. Now before you install your new radiator, you want to go ahead and remove the existing components off of this that you're going to reuse. Here's your drain tube. Going to use a pair of pliers, release that spring clip. Go ahead and twist that over, pop that off. On the bottom, you're going to have two rubber support pads. Simply spin those off and then reinstall them on the new radiator. Do the same for the other side. Now when swapping over your drain tube here, you want to make sure that the spring or the lock unit here is good. Ours actually crumbled in our hands, so we're going to actually use a hose clamp itself. Just going to slide that over, push that on, and let's go ahead and put that clamp on there. Okay, make sure that's snug, just give it a little wiggle, and we're all set. Let's go ahead and lower our radiator down and into place. I want to be careful putting this down. You want to make sure not to damage the cooling fins at all. Now lower this down, you want to go ahead and make sure that those rubber grommets on the bottom fit into the radiator cross brace there. I'm going to have to grab that AC condenser and pull it forward a little bit. Have to reach down and pull that lower radiator hose out of the way. On the passenger side, we're going to go ahead and feed our little drain tube down through the radiator cross member. I'm going to go ahead and get all four of these bolts started here. All right, we have the two upper ones in. Let's go ahead and install the two lowers. Now that we have all four bolts threaded in, let's go ahead and snug those down. There we go, one set screw bottoms out. Just give it a little bit more. Let's go to the upper one here. All right, it's bottomed out, about a quarter turn more. All right, bottomed out a little bit more. And we'll get our last bolt down here. On the bottom here, use your push pin here. Let's do the same for the other side. You want to make sure that this goes underneath this tab down here. Then this will come up through the bottom. Pop that in and snap it in, and there you go. Then we'll go ahead and bring your bumper up into place. You want to be careful bringing that up so you don't scratch the paint on your fender. And what we're going to do is go ahead and hang the upper portion of the bumper on the support. Let's go around to the driver's side, and we're going to go ahead and tuck that up into place. I'm going to go ahead and bring the bumper up and fit it right into this notch here. Slide that back into place. Let's go ahead and repeat that same process for the passenger side. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this little plastic shield back. I'm going to push this down inside. Just kind of give that a little twist, and this will pop into place on top of the radiator. Going to line this up. Let's go ahead and get our bolt installed. And we have our bolt there. Let's go ahead and get that started a few threads. Let's go ahead and repeat the process for the driver's side. Let's go ahead and install this on the driver's side here. Press that down in there. Get that bolt started a few threads. And let's go ahead and snug those down. Go ahead and install our plastic push pin here. Install our push pin on the driver's side here. Across the top of your bumper area, go ahead and install your push pins here. I want to go ahead and install our filler panels right here. If you notice, there's a little tab right here, and that will actually interlock with this base here once we assemble it. Now, these also have metal clips that will lock in to the top here. So I want to go ahead and set these down into place. I'm going to interlock the center piece right now, make it a little bit easier. Once that's interlocked, we'll go ahead and line this up. Snap that down into place. Line this up. Snap that down. And we're all set. Now what we can do is go ahead and install a lower radiator hose here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pliers, open up this hose clamp, push the hose on, and release the clamp and lock it into place. We get on a little bit of the way there. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my pliers here. Open up that clamp a little bit more. Here we have it on, and that clamp is locked into place. We're all set. This upper wiring harness, I'm going to go ahead and release our retaining clips that are holding this in place. There's just little plastic clips holding this. Lower our fan down. Now we lower the fan assembly down into place. On the bottom of it, there's two tabs that are going to lock into the clips on the lower portion of the radiator. So to make sure that we have a clear shot on both sides as we lower this down and inside. All right, so we have our fan in position. We're just going to go ahead and get those tabs locked into the radiator down below. You're just going to clear all of your other connections and all that stuff. Okay, the passenger side is in. Get the driver side. And I can't get that to pop in from here. I'm going to go ahead and get underneath the vehicle and see if we can position that a little bit better. I just want to pull this forward, and there we go. Our cooling fan is dropped into the tab on our radiator. It's like that on both sides. So now we can go back up top and we can install our bolts. Let's install our bolts here for our fan. And I get it started a few threads. We'll do the same for the driver's side. Get this bolt started a few threads. And let's go ahead and snug those down. All right, once that's snugged in a position, let's do the same for the other side. Let's reinstall our harness here. Let's go ahead and connect our bulkhead connector to our cooling fans. I'll line that up. You can feel it in here, lock into place. Let's go ahead and get our screw put in for our lower power steering hose here. Just snug that down into place. We're going to install our upper radiator hose. Just going to get in there with our pliers here and open up that clamp a little bit. Just going to reposition that so we can get that seated properly. All right, our upper clamp and hose is in position. Go ahead and grab the upper part of that hose, work that onto the thermostat neck here. And I just want to go ahead and move this clamp down into position. Have our clamp in position, and our upper radiator hose is installed. Go ahead and take your air intake tube here. We're going to work that onto both the air box as well as our throttle body here. Now I want to go ahead and tighten down our hose clamps here. Snug those down, install that front connector on the intake sensor. Press it so you hear it click in, and then press that red lock tab in. That'll lock it into place. Again, lower the cover down into place, lining up the pins, and press that down to lock it into place. Let's go ahead and start to install our screws here. We have the forward one here, and then we have the one closer to the back side of the fender. And get that started. Let's go ahead and get the other one in. Now that we have both of these started, what you want to do is make sure that the bumper itself lines up with the body lines on the fender itself. Then we'll go ahead and snug those down. Once those are tight, we'll go ahead and repeat this process for the other side. We want to go ahead and attach our fender liner to our bumper itself. Now, a couple of our plastic buttons had broken, so we sourced out a couple other ones. If yours are in good shape, go ahead and install those. I'm going to go ahead and get mine installed. Once you have these done here, you want to go ahead and repeat this process for the passenger side. Now let's go ahead and take our wiring harness from our front bumper and let's bring it up, and we're going to connect that into the body harness here. Press that up, you can feel it in here, it lock into place. Let's go ahead and put our under engine splash shield up and in. With our splash shield in its general location, we're going to go ahead and install the 2 screws on the back side here. Once we get those installed, we'll go ahead and snug them down. All right, let's go ahead and install our 2 rear screws here. All right, once we have these 2 caught, let's go ahead and snug those down. Let's go ahead and install our screws into our retaining clips here. I'm going to get a few of these started by hand first, then we'll go ahead and snug them down. Go ahead and start snugging these down. You're just going to complete the same process across the whole front side and onto your 2 edges. You just want to snug those. Once you feel them stop, then it's pretty much maxed out. And just continue for the rest of these. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the 3 plastic push pins on the driver's side. This one here, when you're pushing it in, you might be able to use a flathead screwdriver on the back side just to apply some pressure to the fender liner. Pull it forward, lock them together. Once you have these 3 in, go ahead and repeat for the passenger side. And we'll get these 2 in here. Once we snug this down, you can go ahead and repeat the process for the passenger side. Now what we're going to do is we want to top off the coolant system here. We're going to go ahead and come to our expansion tank. We want to put on our funnel unit here. We want to go ahead and use a recommended coolant for this vehicle application. We're going to continue to fill this up, and we're going to go ahead and start up the vehicle, let it get up to operating temperature. That could be 20 to 25 minutes. Let that thermostat open up and pull the coolant from here. You want to go ahead and make sure that we go ahead and make sure the system is topped off. It might take you a couple times to make sure that the system is buttoned up and topped off with coolant. There is a max line on this here. We're going to continue to fill up the expansion tank until this is at max. Then we're going to go ahead and remove our cap, button it up. We're going to go ahead and start up the vehicle, let it start to warm up, and use that coolant. It might take a couple times to go ahead and get this back to its max line here. As the engine's thermostat opens up, it'll take some of that coolant out of the tank. We want to make sure that this is always topped off. Now that our expansion tank is at the full line here, we're going to start up the vehicle. We're going to put our heat on max, and we're going to let the vehicle run until we have good, steady, consistent heat. At the same time, we're going to watch our coolant level here. Let it run for about 15-20 minutes. Add coolant as necessary to maintain our max line. Then we can go ahead and remove our cap here and install our radiator cap, and we'll be all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.